Hey, what's up? My name's Kay. You're listening to No Tracers. Let's get into the show. Welcome to No Tracers, the podcast where I take you on an adventure through the hidden gems and forgotten corners of the world. From abandoned buildings and tunnels to rooftop views and street art, join me as we uncover the secrets of the urban landscape. With interviews from experienced explorers, tips and tricks for navigating the urban terrain, and thrilling first-hand accounts of their explorations. Get ready to discover the world like never before. Come explore with us. But remember, leave no trace. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the No Tracers podcast. I'm your host, Kay, just the letter K. I'm known as No Tracers. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the good places at No Tracers, and the website is notracers.com. So, this week on the podcast, I am speaking with Exploring with Nomad. So I actually had him on recently with two other guests. We did a trio episode and they shared some stories together, but I wanted to have Nomad come on and share his personal story about how he got into urban exploring, about what he loves about it, what he hates about it, and he actually added a really cool question to the podcast that I will be asking going forward. So make sure you stick around to the end so that you get to hear that question that I'll be asking my guests in the future. That's something I started doing recently, is actually asking my guest what question they have for the future guest. It's just like expanding the show, which is super cool. Before we get into it, just a couple of housekeeping things, some stuff I wanted to update you guys on. So first of all, the Urbex boxing fight with Keeper of the Second has been canceled. He's going through some medical stuff right now, so he's been advised not to do this fight. So unfortunately, the fight has been canceled. Which is sad because I was really looking forward to it all year, but it is what it is. The dude's got to take care of himself, and that's where I'm going to leave that. Maybe we'll do another one in the future with some other urban explorers, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, if you guys are smokers, if you guys are THC friendly, I am 420 friendly myself. I don't smoke myself. I don't smoke anymore. I do vape CBD, or I take CBD edibles or tinctures. I don't consume THC anymore because it makes me hella paranoid, but CBD helps with anxiety and it helps with like muscle aches and pains and things like that, which is nice when you're done exploring and you're sore. Take some tincture, you'll be feeling right as rain. But if you do smoke, check out smokeblackcraft.com. Smoke Blackcraft has just come out with extracts in vape form, so you can go check them out. They're going to be coming out with a CBD line soon. So if you guys are 420 friendly, I know a lot of people that explore also smoke, so definitely go check out smokeblackcraft.com. Use promo code just the letter K for a discount on your order. Link is down in the description. Thank you, Blackcraft, for partnering with me. Very, very excited about this sponsorship. If you guys want to support the podcast further, there's a few ways to do so. There's a bunch of links to gear down in the description, Amazon affiliate links. If you guys are looking to upgrade your gear, check out those links. I get a little bit of kickback when you use my link. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to notracers.com/shop. You can pick up one of my 2 Urbex photography books or some merchandise. I got beanies, hats, backpacks, duffel bags, windbreakers, t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff, patches, AirPod cases, lots of cool stuff on there. So definitely go check that out. But yeah, this is No Tracers. Welcome to the show. If you like it, please leave a rating and feedback. It helps the podcast grow. And if you want to come on No Tracers, just hit me up on Instagram. That's all you got to do. Super easy. All right. Nomad, please introduce yourself and how long you've been exploring to the No Tracers audience.
What's up, everybody? My name is Exploring with Nomad. I've been exploring for on and off probably the last 15 years. I really took it seriously within the last 4 or 5 years. I honestly didn't even know that exploring was a big thing until I started watching YouTube and I started just coming across videos on there. And then I realized there's a huge community with this.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting community. I will say that. We'll dive deeper into that a little bit later. But what got you into exploring in the first place? Tell me what your first exploration was and what got you kind of hooked on it.
So my first explorer, I want to say I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. Down the street from my house, there was an abandoned middle school, which actually now has been repurposed into a elderly home, like a it's not like a nursing home. Like there's not really doctors. It's more just like they make these rooms into little apartments for the older people.
Oh yeah, like a
Um,
senior living center area.
yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So it was abandoned because I live in a big mining town, like a coal mining town. So this school started sinking actually into a mine subsidence. So they closed the school down. It sat abandoned for like 10, 15 years, and it never really fully sank. It did. They did do measurements where it sunk like I want to say like 2 or 3 feet
Wow.
on the one side, but other than that, it just kind of stood there. So somebody bought it. They turned into a new home, and then they have a theater in there too that they rent out that like dance recitals and stuff like that.
So what? It just like stopped sinking, and they were like, "Yeah, we can fix this."
Yeah, I guess it started sinking when the school was there, and then like when it was still an active school, and then it never really sunk anymore. They were thinking it was going to sink completely in the ground.
Right.
It was going to fall apart. Nothing was going to happen to it, but yeah, nothing happened to it over the years. So I guess they just figured to repurpose it.
Huh, that's fascinating. So I was on Instagram a little bit ago and saw that talking about like repurposing things that are abandoned. There's this town in California that I've visited before where they had like an Air Force base and like housing for people in the Air Force and a hospital and all this stuff. And I guess they like ran out of things to do there. Or I don't really know why it became abandoned, but the whole town was abandoned for years. And I went and saw the Air Force hospital, and actually did the unboxing for my first book inside the hospital, which was super cool. But I just saw that somebody anonymously bought the town for like $22 million, and so they're like gonna do something with this town, but like everybody's like, what are they gonna do? Like nobody knows because the person that bought it, nobody knows who it is. Um, but it's just fascinating to me that like we can take these places and repurpose them over time. For you, is there a specific building that you've been in, either that's still standing or that was demoed, that you would have liked to see be restored?
Um, Honestly, with like pretty much across the board, any abandoned place I go to, I would love to see repurposed. Um, one one that I really like because I like being out. I like being off the grid in a way. Like I just love being
Sure.
out in the woods.
Hmm.
Um, I want to say the Vermont radar base.
Ooh.
Like kind of like each floor kind of has its own apartment. I mean, there'd be small apartments. They'd be like basically studio apartments, but I think it'd be kind of neat to have like each floor has its own little apartment building to it.
Yeah, it'd be like living in like a tree house.
Exactly. And I mean, me and the guys went there in the middle of the winter time, so I didn't really get to see it really well. But I
Uh-huh.
think there's like 3 or 4 of those buildings up there.
Wow. God, that's amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't done any radar bases, but I've done nuclear plants, which are also cool.
those are neat too. Yeah, every place I go to, I wish they would just repurpose it. I mean, I know hotels and houses and mansions and stuff like that, they have their own purpose. They could be repurposed a lot easier in
Mhm.
schools. But like, yeah, every single place I've gone to, like even amusement parks, I wish they would open like some amusement parks I've been to. I wish they would reopen them as amusement parks, fix them up, clean the
Sure.
like, obviously make sure everything's safe. But
Right. I mean, with all these stories of, rides getting stuck, I'm like, is anything safe anymore at an amusement park? I don't know. I don't
that
know.
is true. There one over in the UK where like the roller coaster came off on its own
Yeah,
or something, or the cart.
yeah, dude. That's like a Final Destination shit.
Yeah, that's why
I don't fuck with roller coasters.
me too.
I can't.
I hate heights. I'll sit on the side of a building or like
Sure,
on top
sure.
of a roller coaster, but I tell everybody I hate being in a roller coaster because I don't like being in control. I'll climb a roller coaster. I'll climb the side of it, no problem.
Yeah,
But the time as soon as I'm bolted down or seated down into a roller coaster and that thing has full control, yeah, I'm scared. I hate
can't
those.
do it. I hate them.
Nope.
I hate them. They're so
Yeah,
uncomfortable. God, I
me
hate
too.
them. So do you have a certain type of building that you prefer exploring, whether it's hospitals or houses, or do you have like a specific type that you prefer?
um, I'm all around. I like industrial. Like I like old power plants. I like old amusement parks. stuff that you see that people have built. But then I also like schools and hospitals, like hospitals that some stuff's still laying around. You could see like old dentist chairs or old operating lights and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I'm not really picky when it comes to abandoned places. I don't really like. I know a lot of people have their own specific things that they look for and things
Yeah.
that work good for them. But yeah, I'm all over. I just like we were just talking about with the games. I like apocalyptic look of things.
Yeah. I'm the
I
same.
think I said in the last podcast where I just like going to places where you see things when people aren't around to take care of it, and you just see how nature starts taking things back.
Yeah.
That's the main look that I go for when I look at things.
Yeah, and to find that stuff, you got to go like kind of out into nowhere, like the one that stands out to me, there's a school in West Virginia in this like really remote town that has like 100 people in it, and nature has like grown back inside the school, and it's so cool because it almost looks like the classroom is like a soccer field because like the moss that's on the floor is like bright green, it's beautiful. And I love those kind of places, but you kind of got to go out there to find them. It's not like you're not getting like that moss of like untouched, nature in a city. It's a lot harder for it to like kind of grow back there.
Yeah, and I feel like that's with really active places too. Like in the urbex community, really active places, it's harder for a building to grow moss because you have so
Right.
much foot traffic going through there every week or every month
Yep.
that the moss doesn't really. I mean, I'm sure it still grows in there, but it's not as easily like organically covering things.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, when did photography come into play? When did you start like documenting your explorations? Was it from the jump or did you kind of pick it up along the way?
I've always been into photography. Ever since I was in junior high, I did sports photography, like for the school basketball teams.
Nice.
Um, but as for urbex stuff, um, I got into it honestly when I started seeing things on YouTube. Mostly because I didn't know that people actually even documented this stuff. I figured it was just a thing that people went out and with their friends and partied and hung out inside of abandoned buildings. But
Yeah.
once I started seeing them on YouTube, I'm like, there's people that actually document this stuff. They share their photos with other people. And then
Yeah.
I started joining Instagram. I started posting my photos on there, my videos on there, and I realized how big the community actually was. I didn't realize how massive this community is.
It's pretty crazy. Do you have any urban exploration injury stories?
Um, I have one. I was actually on a road trip with Steve Ronan.
Okay.
It was like we talked in the last podcast. It was one of the first big YouTube guys I hung out with, and another person that grew into being a friend. And you see a completely different person when you're hanging out with him in person. Um, but we were on a road trip, and we were in, I want to say it was in West Virginia or Delaware. And I'm a bigger guy, so like Banks, me and
Yeah.
Banks are pretty close. He's probably a little bit taller than me, but like
He's a
in
big
body
dude.
shape, yeah. So he's basically imagine me as him.
Okay.
I was climbing a fence, and when I went to go jump off the fence, my foot slipped,
Oh.
and I scratched off the fence my arm from like my armpit, almost
Oh,
halfway down my arm.
that's such a tender area.
Yeah, and it was funny though because when I landed, I'm a bigger guy jumping off a fence, and that was funny me landing, and everybody's like, "You okay? You okay?" And I'm just laying there. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably just gonna lay here and die, and I'm just gonna stay right here."
You're like, I'm just gonna give up for a second.
Yeah, yeah. You guys go. Just pick me up when you come back.
Oh my god. Well, I'm
Yep.
glad that's like kind of it, like you haven't we've had people talk about their friends getting impaled on fences and like just some crazy shit, like the injury
Yeah,
stories are vast on this show, and so I'm glad that you've kind of remained relatively unscathed.
yeah. For the most, I mean, I'm still young, so you never know.
Facts.
But I mean, I've like tripped over a rock or something like
Sure.
that, but
Sure.
that's just normal stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't fallen out of like I'm gonna claim it as Banks again. I haven't fallen out of a window or anything, but because of him, I have a first aid kit in my Jeep at all times. I bought it
It's
and I
so
sent him a picture.
important.
Yeah, I sent him a picture of it. And I said, I bought this specifically because of you.
That's amazing. I feel like that's one of the necessities. And speaking of things that you need with you, like, can you talk about some of the things you bring either to abandoned places that you keep in your car or gear, like things that you bring into the buildings, things like that?
Into the buildings wise, besides my camera gear, I pretty much just bring like a headlamp and some water.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. As for my vehicle, you can ask Chase. I am probably one of the most prepared people to ever go on a road trip with. When we did our south trip that we talked about, I had a toolkit, I had jack, I had like electric impact gun in case we got a flat. I had anything you needed. I had in my Jeep before, like just in case if anything was to happen.
We love a prepared person. You got to have
Oh.
one on the road. There's always like, like Harley Q Urbex is like the Urbex mom. She's got snacks. She'll have like peanut butter crackers for you or like whatever you could possibly need. It's like her backpack is like a fucking like Mary Poppins bag. It's just endless, just with shit in it. It's amazing.
She's funny. I like her. She's a little crazy, but I like her.
Harley Q, she takes after the character a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But yeah,
we met her in DC.
Okay.
It was I'm not gonna say exactly where we were, but I met Ninja first, and it was funny because we turned a corner and me and him were just eye to eye. He was at one end, I was at the other. He looks at me, he's like, "Are you Explorer?" And I'm like, "Maybe." "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm an Explorer too." I'm like, "Good, so am I." So then we started hanging out, and then we split ways, and we ended up finding each other in another building. We were walking down the hallway, and up on the roof there was like this little glass window, and you just see both of them there. And the next thing you know, we're walking past an elevator, and you see these two legs pop out, and then Harley just drops down, and then we all just start hanging out. We all actually went to dinner that same night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
I love doing the post Urbex munch. I think it's important.
We always end up going to Applebee's or something like that, but we were in DC, so we just looked up some other place that was close.
Yeah.
And
I think that's bad. Like the treat at the end of the the mission.
It is, because I'll explore all day long. I won't eat at all because I'll be so focused on exploring. And then once exploring is done, my stomach's just like, yeah, let's eat. I'm hungry.
Your stomach's like, what the fuck, man? It's been 12 hours.
Yeah, we haven't eaten like 12 to 13 hours. We need to get some food in me.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you. Can you share your scariest exploration story?
My scariest was... I don't really get scared that often when I'm exploring. Like I think we said it in the last podcast when me, Chase, and Urbex Alex were all in there.
Yeah.
Is I'm the kind of person where the only time I'm worried is when we're getting into places. Once we're in, I'm completely fine.
Sure.
The only time I get scared is when a security guard's like right there, he has me, and I know I can't get away. That's the time I get scared. But other than that, I think I blame this completely on Alex is the reason why I got scared at this time. But when we were on our south trip, we were in a place, and we split up. It was me and Alex, and then Chase and Unseen Explorer were together. And we split up only because there's a security guard that does like every hour, every half hour, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking around, and then next thing you know, Chase calls Alex and said, like, I didn't hear exactly what he said, but Alex just looks at me like he's seen a ghost. And it's like, run. So we run, we jump in this little like cubbyhole looking building, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, Chase literally turned a corner and seen the security guard's car, and then like did this little 007 turn back into the building so that way he didn't see him. But I guess just the way that Alex reacted that's the only time I got scared, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if somebody was getting eaten by like an alligator or something. but yeah, I don't know. I don't really get scared when I'm in buildings. I get more scared on the way in.
Yep. I'm the same way.
And then once I'm in the building, I'm fine. Even when I'm leaving, I'm fine.
Yeah, because you're like, you're out. You're like, what are we gonna do? We're out.
Yeah, I got my photos and video. We're on the way out already, and that's why I like my camera, because of I don't know if you shoot Sony, right?
Yeah, I do.
So you know how the A7 IIIs are with the double cards?
Yes. Do you switch your
That's
card?
no. I
Oh, okay.
record to both cards
Oh,
because
oh.
yes.
I
So in
just
that
think I
way,
just swap my cards and then format the one that's empty.
nope. I recorded both of them
That's so
because
smart.
I mean
Fuck.
I want to say this, but I'm in the back of my head. I'm thinking the security guard's gonna or a cop's gonna hear this podcast at one point. But
It happens.
how many? I'll say it afterwards because I don't want to say it on here and
Yeah.
then be like, that sounds so smart. Let me figure that out now.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
after we're done recording, I'll tell you.
I literally had some security guard comment on one of my. I upload these to YouTube as well, so I had a security guard comment on the video, and he was like, "Great, you're giving tips for people to make my job harder." I was like, "Yeah, you're welcome."
It's like it's all part of the game, bud. You chase
Yeah,
us, we're
dog.
gonna make it harder for you.
Yep, facts. We're gonna be more clever and outsmart you most of the time because we do this all the time.
Yeah, just like them. They're always like. I'm sure that's the place that me and all the guys went to.
Yeah,
I'm sure that security guard knows every inch of that building. So like,
oh,
if we
for
even
sure.
moved a door like a half an inch, he would
Yeah,
probably know that door was moved.
yep, absolutely. Has anything ever made you want to stop exploring? Like any like incident where you were like, I gotta chill for a second?
Not in exploring itself. The only I'm probably gonna get hate for this one because it's just the community, but
Sure.
the only thing that's ever wanted me to ever want to stop exploring is the community. It just seems like recently it's gotten extremely toxic.
Yeah.
Like it's not friends anymore. It's more like a competition. And then you get people that are like, you'll go to a place and they'll get mad because you went there, or they'll get mad because you took a photo of a set that they set up and they cleaned up and they put up and everything. Like yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that ever pushed me to want to stop exploring is people don't make it friendly anymore. They have so much hate for each other. It's insane.
Yeah, it's really sad, honestly. Like it's supposed to be like we call it a community, but it's like the opposite of a community. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
it's the Urbex competition. It's not even
the
Urbex
Urbex
community anymore.
rivals. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's sad, man, because like, and that's a huge reason that I made this podcast because I wanted to like bring people together because we all have this thing in common. Like, why can't we just be fucking cool and support each other and be stoked for each other? Like, you know,
yeah,
I get messages all the time whenever I upload a new podcast or I post a new place. People are like, lucky, or like, you know, they have like mad FOMO. And I'm like, what? I mean, go find the place, you know, or like start your own podcast. I get a lot of people that are like, when are you going to have like different guests on? You always have like the same people, which is not true. I have different people on here every week. I've had people come back a couple times, but like, if you're so like butthurt about my show, like start your own show. Like why
yeah,
is this a thing? It's so weird to me. And you know, like I think it's cool that there's like now. So I think my podcast was the first urban exploring podcast. I don't want to like don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was because I helped Greg start his. And then I think All American Ruins started one. Um, and so there's like 4 or 5 of them now, which is fucking dope. Like I love that this has like opened up an opportunity for more people to like get into the space of podcasting and share their own stories. And I just with you, like sometimes the community makes me want to like take a step away, but at the same time, like I want to like fix it, you know. So it's like I got to keep going. I got to keep trying.
yeah. Like I'm in the cars. Like I'm a mechanic for my regular career,
Mm,
and I've been to drift events where people like say somebody's car broke. Next thing you know, there's 20 people over there with tools, parts, and
that's
whatever
awesome.
they need. So that's what the community should be like.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be a competition. Like, oh, you seen that spot? Well, you missed this spot. Let's meet up there, and
yeah,
I'll show you the different areas and I'll show you the different spots. And then I know there's some people out there that are gatekeepers because of how nice the spots are.
sure.
And when I've gone to some of these places, I can completely understand because of how the community's been recently with people burning places down
Oh
and
my
just
god,
destroying
yeah.
them. I think like 4 places just burned down since the last time we talked on the podcast.
Jesus.
But um, yeah, that's going back to the leaving thing. That's probably the only thing that ever pushed me to want to stop. I mean, not I wouldn't really stop going to abandoned places, but more like advertising my photos to the
Sure.
community,
Yeah.
because it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be a competition. We should all be hanging out, and I mean, not obviously at the same time, because that'd be,
Can't have 50 people in a bando.
yeah. I mean, I would love to have 50
That'd
people in
be
a bando,
sick.
but I don't think the
Dude.
cops would like that part.
No, I don't think so. I really want to rent out Eastern State in Philly for a night and just do like a meetup and have like,
That'd be cool.
because we can. Oh man, my cats are going crazy right now. Oh, there's a cat outside. Damn, I was like, what the fuck? There's a cat outside, so my
I
cats
heard
are
that in the
losing it.
background. Like, that's either a cat
Woo!
or a bird going nuts right now.
Damn, that was wild. Okay. Anyway, if you had to estimate, how many pins do you think are on your map?
I can tell you exactly. I have about. I mean, it's probably low for the average, but I have, actually, let me look it up real quick. I think I have like 250, 260.
Nice. Very good.
I could probably just put down a crazy pin. Let's see.
Oh my God,
250, 257.
Dang. Okay, let's go. Are they mostly like on the East Coast? Are they kind of all over the place?
Mostly on the East Coast up until, I don't even know if you consider this central, like midway, like East Coast over to like Louisiana up the
Okay,
state.
gotcha.
I have some on the West Coast. I have some over in like Kazakhstan and Ukraine and Austria and UK. I'm starting to go international, even though I don't even have my passport yet. But
Oh, come on, man! You got to get that passport. Let's
do.
go.
I do. I have such a bad memory that, like, I even went online and I applied for my passport, and then completely forgot to even go to the post office and get everything done.
Dude.
I would look. I'm like, wasn't I supposed to do something the other day? I looked at my phone like 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to go to the post office. I'm like,
oh
damn it.
my God. Yeah, I have to get mine renewed. So I got it. I grew up overseas, but the last time I got it renewed was 2014. So it expires in February next year, and they don't let you travel internationally if it's like within 6 months of expiring. So I'm like right at the edge, because their reasoning, it's actually pretty valid. Their reasoning is like, what if a war breaks out and you're stuck there, like, and your passport expires? You're kind of fucked. So
I could see that, or if you're over there on like a tourist visa or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long the visas last for, but
usually
if you
like
there
30 days or 60 days or 90 days. So yeah, it's they try to keep you up to date on it. But yeah, so I like went to Walgreens and got my photos taken, and now I just have to go to the freaking post office. But like, to get it renewed, I need to know, like, do I need to expedite it? Like, because I have shit pop up all the time. Like a band tomorrow could be like, yo, can you go to the UK in October? And I'd be like, well, shit, I just sent out my passport, so no. So it's like I gotta jump through all these hoops.
How much extra is it to have it expedited?
So, well, it depends. So to get the expedite, I think it's like $190, but it goes up from there. So it's like you gotta, if you want it within like 7 days, it's probably like $600. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
wow.
because their backlog is crazy. So in order to like jump the queue, you gotta pay. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But get that passport. You got to do some international stuff. There's some pretty cool shit out there.
I want to. I kept telling Banks, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get my passport next time you go to the UK or Italy or something like that.
Facts.
I'm coming with you.
Facts. Absolutely.
I was gonna tell my boss, like, that's why I like my job, because they're very like open with your dates and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And it's pretty much to the point where, like, hey, I need these days off, and they'll be fine, as long as it's not during. I work in a garage, so it sounds, as long as it's not like during winter tire season. That's
for sure. That's pretty crucial that you're there.
Yeah.
Can you share your most creative entrance?
Yeah,
like the most creative way you've gotten into a spot.
I don't know. I haven't really had any crazy entrances yet.
This dude over here just walking through front doors and shit.
Pretty much. The one power plant I went to, it was, I don't know. It wasn't really crazy. I mean, it was funny because it was like literally walked in right through the wall. Most creative entrance was probably the football stadium that me and Steve went to. Yeah, that was a fun one. I'm not gonna say exactly how we got in, but it was interesting how we entered into that building.
Yeah, I don't think I've shared mine on here, but I went to this mall in California, and we had to go through the roof. Like we had to
Oh
go like
wow.
up into the roof and then climb over the air conditioning unit and drop like 8 feet down to the ground. That shit was crazy. And I
Oh,
was
I
like,
probably would have broke my ankle on that jump.
I was so anxious, dude. I was like, what if I just fuck this and then I'm stuck in this mall? Because like all the doors are sealed except for one that's like chain locked, you know? So like the
Oh
cops are going to
yeah.
have to come get you out. That place is crazy, dude. No railings anywhere. Sketchy.
Um, Actually, the place is torn down now, so I could talk about this one. But it was in my area, or my town, probably about 45 minutes away from my house. It's a town called Wilkes-Barre.
Mhm.
Um, there was a nursing home there that it's leveled now. They built a whole new one and everything. But like I said, I'm a bigger guy, so this was very sketchy on my part. But the window was broken, so it was an easy entrance. But the hard part was there was like this concrete, probably like a 3 foot concrete drop in front of the window. I want to say it was probably maybe for like drain off when it was raining or whatever.
Mhm.
But you had to climb over the metal railing, and then you had to step onto this already soaked and deteriorated piece of plywood. You had to step on that and like on that and on the concrete and kind of jump your way over and grab the windowsill at the same
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
I did a video there and it sucked because I wasn't really familiar with cameras at the time, so everything looks like it's from like 1940s, and it was really because it was really dark out. So I was trying to like throw my ISO all the
Crank
way
the
up. Yeah, I was
so
trying to
just
crank it up to make
grain
it
to
light
shit.
again. Oh yeah, it's horrible. And I
That's
wanted to go
amazing.
back so bad, but then it got torn down.
Oh, bummer. All
But
right,
that was
so
probably one of my sketchiest ones. Was that trying to jump over that and not fall through the plywood?
I got you. Okay, so this is kind of a two-parter. We've talked about most dangerous. We've talked about, you know, crazy entrances. What about your like riskiest, like the most high risk exploration you've done?
It's a toss up between three. Um, there is the power plant I did power plant that me and my friends did. We did it during an ice storm, and it's actually still on an active site. The toss up between that one, then there's a theme park in the south that I went to, and then a house in Pennsylvania that's a huge like a historical mansion.
Oh,
Um, that one was only kind of sketchy just because the groundskeeper used to live on the property at the time. So it's a toss up between those three. Only one me and the groundskeeper, the other one because you're on an active power plant, so that's kind of like a federal thing.
yeah,
And
for sure.
then the amusement park only because supposedly the guy carries a gun when the security guard carries a gun around.
Great.
So that's yeah. So that's it's a toss up between meeting somebody, going to jail, or possibly getting shot.
Great. Yeah, that's pretty high risk, I would say. So I've started at the end of the show. We're not there yet, but I'm going to ask the question now. So I've started having my guests ask the next guest a question. Like, you know, like the previous guest asked somebody that's coming on next a question. So Zach Visuals, his question is, where do you draw the line on risk? Like, is there something you won't do to get into a place, or is there like a situation where you like wouldn't do it?
So it's going to go back to my heights thing. I will not scale the side of a building, or like even if there's like a little walkway that you could walk across, like you see those houses, the big buildings in New York. Yeah, that's where I draw my line. Pretty much like roof-topping kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay. So discovering Tegan, her question was, what is your most adventurous exploration?
My most adventurous would probably have to be the Vermont radar base that we went to. I say that because you're probably about a half hour away from any town civilization. Probably about the same amount of time you have no cell service. At least I didn't when I was up there, and just because of the how far it was, like pretty much because of how far away it is from anything. If anything was to ever happen, you're at least a half hour away from anybody to try and help you to rescue you.
Yeah, that's those situations where like my thing on risk now that I've learned is probably like if I don't have cell service, like I don't really want to go there.
Yeah.
Like I went into this underground military bunker base thing where they used to store the intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Oh wow.
And we were underground, like probably like, I don't know, 50 feet underground in these tunnels, right? And of course our phones don't work. There's just metal everywhere. And I was like left alone in the darkness for like 45 minutes while my friend kept going. And we had to like traverse across these metal beams basically to like continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the base. And it got to the point where I was like, I know my limits. And I was like, look, you go ahead. I'll be here. Just like come back and like check in or whatever. So, 25 minutes pass, nothing. 30 minutes, nothing. At the 30-minute mark, I turned my light off. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to sit in the darkness and like soak this in. Dude, it was so quiet in there and so dark that I literally couldn't see my hand in front of my face. And I could hear the blood in my brain. That's how fucking quiet it was.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I could hear my brain doing shit. It was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, like 45 minutes pass. And I'm yelling now. I'm like, yo, where you at? Like, I was thinking the worst. I was like, he fell. He's dead. I'm never going to find him. I don't know where he went. These tunnels are endless. They go off in a million different directions. And then finally, like 50 minutes, I start hearing footsteps. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, dude came back. Like, he came back for me. Thank God. So, but yeah, that shit was crazy. And probably like the most nerve-wracking experience that I've had. Because like, if something had happened to him, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how we would have found him.
Yeah.
But we got out of that place like as the sun was setting, and it was crazy. Like and I filmed the whole thing, of course. So I mean, if people want to watch it, No Tracers Urbex on YouTube. But like, holy shit, that was a crazy explore. So the other guest that I had to ask a question was TW Visions, and his question for you is, what was your craziest escape?
The craziest escape would have to be the security guard that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna regret saying this now, but I've had very good luck with not getting anything caught on me right now.
Yeah.
So that was probably the closest I've ever come, was that security, like when Chase called Alex and we had to run into that little
Yeah.
shack looking thing. That was probably the closest I've been to getting caught. And
Wow.
it's funny. I always say this because every time I go exploring, I never explore in the summertime for some odd reason. It always ends up being the winter. I don't know how that ever works out, but I have one of the OG exploring with Josh hoodies when he first, like the Nara Dreamland ones when he came
Wow.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have that. Actually, I sent a photo of. He's like that's probably one of my favorite hoodies when he first started making them.
That's crazy.
But I still have that, and I wear it for some odd reason. I always end up grabbing it when I go exploring. So I claim that that's like my good luck charm hoodie.
Nice.
Because it was funny when we were down there. When we were finally leaving where we almost got caught, and we were back in my Jeep, and everyone's like, "How did we not get caught? Like, how does that work?" I opened the back of my Jeep, and the hoodie was sitting right there because I took it off.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's like, "Yeah, but we didn't have it with us." I said, "Yeah, but it was still with us.
It's in the vicinity.
It was in the vicinity of us, and that's how we didn't get caught."
That's amazing. That's amazing. I have things like that. Like that's like actually a good question. Like, do people have any like what good luck charms? Or
Yeah,
like anything
that'll
like
be
that
my.
they bring with them?
I want to put that as my question. Actually, that'll
Perfect.
be my.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because no matter what anybody says, they all have their own
Superstitious?
little. Yeah, they all have
Yeah.
their own little superstition.
Absolutely. We all got them.
Yeah.
We literally all have. Mine is I'm not religious. I wouldn't consider myself religious, but my uncle is very religious. So probably like 10 years ago, he gave me this like a bracelet that I wear around my ankle because like, my arms are always moving. I'm always banging into stuff. I don't want it to break, so I wear it around my ankle. And it was blessed by the previous pope.
Oh wow.
So that's like my good luck charm, whether it's like real or in my head or in his head or whatever. But that's my good luck charm that I always have with me.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has their own little. They have something that they always bring with them.
For sure. That's a great question. I'm excited to ask more people that. That was a good one. So what's the farthest you've traveled to explore?
Well, let's see how far away that is from this area or from my house. Well, we did when we did our road trip. We did a 9-day road trip last February.
Hmm.
Actually, well, then I guess you could say this February. That was probably the furthest in distance was from my house to New Orleans was probably the
Crazy.
furthest. That total trip was 9 days. I think it was 4,000 miles. I think it was like 55 hours of drive time total.
Holy shit.
Um,
At that point, like, it's not you can't even like take flights because you got to do the road trip thing. You got to do it that way.
yeah, everybody wants to fly nowadays. I always tell them like it's nice to fly because they get there faster, but
Sure.
you lose so much with like you
Yeah,
don't see as much.
and you can't take as much with you. And like for me, I as a freelance videographer, like I get a lot of gigs that like now I'm getting a lot of gigs in Atlanta, and I have one coming up in St. Louis. And I was looking at my route, so I'm looking up flights to St. Louis and back and priced them out. It was gonna take me like 5.5 hours to get there, even though it's like right there, because I'd have a 2-hour layover and then fly to St. Louis, and then I'd have to get Ubers and then all that shit. And I was like, I wonder how far it is from my house. It's like 4.5 hours. And so I told my client, I was like, I'm just gonna drive, charge you mileage and gas, and just do it that way because I'd rather be able to bring more lighting gear and like more camera gear with me, and not have to go through TSA and the bullshit. So
Yeah,
I'm
and at the end of the day, I mean, it might be a little bit cheaper,
It
but
is. It is a little cheaper, which is nice for him and me, and I don't have to deal with a bunch of other people. I can just like drive. I haven't driven to St. Louis yet, so I'm excited. I'm going to be meeting up with Bentley Shots because I'm going to have some time there. So super excited about that. But for you, if you could live in one abandoned place you've explored for an entire week, which place would it be?
um, Kenny Rogers Mansion. Because that bed that's in there is amazing. Like how, the way that's shaped and how the whole room is built. Oh man,
Hell yeah.
I think it's
Oh
for
man.
sale actually now. I heard recently either it got sold or it's back on the market or it was never on.
Damn.
It was always on the market and it got sold. I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
that mansion's amazing.
We love a mansion. I wonder if someone bought it. I wonder what they got it for. Probably like pennies on the dollar. It's got if it's abandoned,
Um,
you got to like fix it
I
and shit.
know the city. I mean, it's actually still in really good shape, but I know the city was getting kind of cranky because I guess whoever bought it off Kenny Roger, whatever they were using as like a party mansion, yeah, it became like it was on the news. They said there was like 200 plus cars parked up and down the
Oh
road.
my god, that's crazy. Yo.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
literally
So
if you put in Kenny Rogers party house or something like that, it
Kenny
pops up.
Rogers Party House. That's amazing. Okay, so I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway because we kind of touched on it already when we were talking about the community. But what do you hope for the future of urban exploring?
Um, I hope for everybody just to like open their eyes and just start hanging out with each other more. Like stop being so hateful towards each other. I mean that's in the whole world just in general, but
Yeah.
like as for the community, if you really think about like there's people in the community that know that when somebody goes to a place and they call the cops on them to get them in trouble.
Yo,
I've heard of that happening a couple times.
that shit's so messed up.
Yeah.
So the first Urbex fight, a boxing fight we did in Detroit, we had people threatening to call the cops that are in the community. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that's like against every code that like code. There's no rule book, but like,
Yeah.
there's like a hypothetical rule book that we all live by and go by. Like you're not going to call the cops on another like that's psychotic to me.
Yeah.
So I've dealt with that personally. We had to like switch locations last minute, which sucked because we were trying to get into this like actual boxing ring, like an abandoned boxing gym. And
The Tom
we
boxing ring.
yeah. But
Okay, yeah.
we had people like somebody like put their own lock on the place, and then they were like, I'm gonna call the cops on you guys. Like we were getting DMs, like threats, and that
Yeah.
because they weren't invited. Like that's crazy. But it is
It's
what it is.
it's funny too because I watch like I'm one of those guys that are addicted to TikTok, and I watch
Sure.
like this one guy that he tells stories of like when they were in prison and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's funny because like the urbex community, like the people that go to prison feel like they have more organization than
It's
the
true.
urbex community. Like when they go in there, he even said there's rules to when you're in jail. He's like, you don't mess with kids, females, and the elderly.
Yep.
And that's how it should be in here. Like, you just don't mess with each other. Like, everybody should be having fun. Everybody should be taking photos. Everybody should be sharing their photos. I mean, obviously, if there's the gatekeeping kind that don't want to share it just because they don't want it to get burned down, which
Sure.
I can completely understand with that. But yeah, it shouldn't be a competition. People shouldn't be fighting over spots, and people shouldn't be worried about going to places and worried if somebody's going to call the cops on them because they know they're there.
Yeah.
Other than the obvious normal neighborhood person. But
right. I agree. I completely agree. So last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started exploring?
How big the community was. I probably have so many more friends in the community. If I read, like we said in the last podcast, I reach out to a lot of people and I just talk to people randomly, and half the time I'm honestly surprised I even get a message back because how busy they usually are.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I just wish I knew more about the community years and years ago when I first started getting into this. I never realized how big it was.
Yeah. I think for me, it would be like something similar. You know, I wish I had started this podcast earlier because I feel like I would have had more people on that aren't really in the community anymore just to hear their stories as well. But yeah, I also think that I did it at the perfect time because I started this during COVID when I had like very little to do. We didn't know, like, can we go exploring? Can we go even leave our houses? Like, what the fuck is going on? So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just start this podcast so I can connect with people. And it's been really cool, you know, like getting to chat with people like yourself, not only on the podcast, but like in DMs and Discord and, you know, all these different mediums that we communicate in. I think it's really cool. And I think these podcasts are slowly bringing people back together, which is awesome. So very grateful for it. But if people want to keep following your journey, where can they find you online?
You can find me on YouTube, which I want to add on to what I wish I knew earlier. I wish I knew YouTube was such a big community on Urbex because I know a lot of people I think I talked about this last time. I know a lot of people talk crap on people when they're saying, oh, they shouldn't be doing videos and making money off Urbex. I'm not going to lie. If I can make money off of doing Urbex and travel the world and get to see the world, I would 100% do it, which is why I wish I did YouTube a lot sooner, because I feel like then I'd actually be able to grow on YouTube. But yeah, as for finding me, Exploring with Nomad on YouTube, I have Instagram, I have TikTok. Obviously, I'm not really active on TikTok though. Sooner or later, I'll finally figure out how to edit videos and that thing. But yeah, YouTube, I'm starting to get a little more active on, and then Instagram, I'm always posting on that thing.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Exploring with Nomad. If you guys want to follow him, all of his links are down in the description for you, or you can just look up Exploring with Nomad on whatever platform you choose. If you liked this episode, please do me a favor and leave a rating and feedback. It helps the podcast grow, and it helps us find more people in the Urbex community just like yourselves. Give it a share. Tell your friends about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you have an amazing weekend exploring. If you are exploring right now, tweet me. Let me know where you're going. I would like to connect with you guys more on Twitter or X. What the fuck? What? Why? Why is it X? Like it's Twitter forever. Twitter. So if you want to connect with me on Twitter, no tracers. Thank you guys for listening. Stay strong. Keep enduring. Go out. Go explore something. And remember, leave no trace.